was popping off in big ways, and they're taking away the Jace immediately there from Annie, or I guess Tyron as well. But Annie had a good performance on that 3-0-5 in the win over Renska. Look, a dub is a dub is a dub, and taking away the Aphelios again. The band's just coming in immediately for Beanie, I think, or rather for for Tuts the Boy. I think they're maybe seeing that. Look, he has been a bit of a model of consistency. Loud have a lot of good pieces going for him, but they put the pain on Pain Gaming 13-2-7 last week on the Aphelios.
Yeah, I remember that performance. That was quite admirable for sure. I don't know that it's worth a red side ban at the minute, unfortunately. So maybe it is just Duds the Boy who has been absolutely tearing up on Aphelios, and a target ban taken away. I mean, if you're that scared of an Aphelios that you have to red side ban it, then fair enough. And that speaks to how strong Duds is and how confident Loud would be in taking it. And maybe just to the point of Beanie maybe not wanting to play it, though we've seen him on Aphelios a couple of times, so not too sure of the exact issues there, but this is something that happens when you red side ban things like the Aphelios. You leave open, well, Kai'Sa, but also Seraphine as well, and it's nice to see where Loud's priorities lie here. It is going to be in that bot lane and in Duds the Boy. Once again, though, Rel, a mainstay now of support, highest tier support there is pretty much right now, gets picked up, gets taken away, and there's still the option for the Seraphine to come out here for Loud, but obviously if Dinkedo wants that, or if Seos wants that, they're going to be into a fairly rough matchup in the Rel. Kai'Sa definitely going to be a fairly staple bot lane pickup.
Yeah, Seraphine been played in the AD carry and support role in CBLOL, three games, 7 bans. So and I imagine we're going to see the priority rise as she just continues to dumpster in other regions. She's so strong and can flex in pretty much any lane except jungle. Technically, she's just so dang strong. Even though Moonstaff and whatnot are going through some nerfs, she has immense range, immense poke. That charm is so scary. Mukio going to lock in the Skarner here, so it's just two just chem tank run at you junglers. This is a style that we are seeing be more prevalent because chem tank is just such a gold efficient item.
You get your old righteous glory style passive coming on through as well, and you just charge down the enemy ADC, and this sort of puts a bit of a issue here, or a bit of a threat onto Beanie right now, and Xayah is pretty much one of the only AD carries that you can take into something like the Alistar, something like Kai'Sa as well. Xayah has a really nice matchup actually into the Kai'Sa in the early game in the laning phase, so Fury are going to feel at least a little bit decent about this bot lane matchup, and Alistar as well. Whenever you end up picking this champion, you're typically picking it more of as a mitigation pick as opposed to an all-in lane prowess kind of champion. So the bot lane, at least for now, I think is winning for Fourier, and they should have themselves a fairly decent time. The Xayah as well, into not just the Kai'Sa, but the ability to immune if the Skarner tries to jump on you, immune if the Alistar headbutt pulverizes you in a late game team fight. Really decent pickup here, and short of Ezreal coming on through, this was about the only pick that Beanie would have had.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that you mentioned that, because Xayah, she, the early laning phase, it's good because it's defensive, right? I mean, Xayah takes a while to really come online, but she's just the anti-dive, and just given what the first 3 picks for Loud were, you say, yeah, this might not be a bad idea.
This, typically taking Xayah early on in the draft isn't something that we advise too much because of how going back reliant she is, but when you see what Loud are trying to do with their draft, you can fully understand and fully respect this Xayah pick coming on through in the R3 slot. Of course, we do have matched up bans and the picks right now. Got bot lane and our junglers picked on over, so it's going to be a case of target picking, or target banning rather, for these solo laners. Tyron and Nenny going to get their stuff taken away. Dinkedo and Tay as well going to have a couple of their own picks locked away and taken off of the table right here. For Furia, the name of the game right now is pick themselves a safe blind pick, be that in the top lane, be that in the mid lane, and we will have to wait and see which one they end up going with there. The staple mid lane picks like the Ori, like the Syndra, they've been removed, and things in the top lane as well. There have been a lot of bans in that area as well. Renekton, Ornn, Gnar, Camille, Jace, there's a lot of things taken off the table here. So the champion pools have definitely been pinched. I'll have to wait and see what Furia lock in here.
I was going to say that this is going to be really interesting. Okay, Gangplank, and okay, just kind of continuing just a thematic sort of I don't know if siege comp is the right word, but just a very defensive kind of zone control kind of comp.
Very non-committal, right, with this
Yep.
sort of stuff. GP
Mhm.
doesn't need to do anything particularly aggressive to pump out his damage, right? Unless you're trying to proc trial by fire, you don't need to be flashing into the enemy team too much here. But it is answered with a Gragas, and honestly, I'm surprised that Fourier didn't end up picking that one up for themselves. Maybe fearing that they didn't have quite enough damage, so I couldn't quite understand maybe if that's the thought process that they wanted a little bit more damage coming out of the top lane. Whenever you take Udyr and Rel in your first two picks, you are typically limiting yourself a little bit in the amount of carries that you're able to pick up. But it is going to be, of course, answered with that Gragas, and going to be mid laned in Kedo, taking himself the Kaiser. So a little bit limited in AP, I will say here for this comp for Loud, and I only say a little bit because Kaiser has really decent mixed damage. Gragas is, of course,
Mhm.
all of his damage comes from magic damage, but if he goes into that tanky build, then that's going to be lacking a little bit here. Fourier now have the option of counter pick in the mid lane, and counter picking a Lucian, not something that particularly happens here. He's just an incredibly strong mid laner in his own right,
Yeah.
so going to just be
Yeah.
something to really limit it.
Okay. Well, I mean, Lucian does have the tools to get in on Victor, and that can be pretty scary. But with the Death Ray and just you can keep yourself safe to a degree. I'm really interested to see what kind of summer spells are taken here. Whether how the CS battle goes as well. But yeah, wow. I mean, for Furia, I think non-committal. That is the best. Is the best word to describe it.
Mm.
This is, jeez, Louise. Yeah,
It's very disengage heavy, and
yeah.
unfortunately, Fourier they've got Rel and they have Udyr if they want to start engages, and if they want to disengage
Mhm.
as well, then Rel can pop up a good stun, good magnet storm to keep people at bay a little bit here, and maybe keep the backline safe, which is really going to be the name of the game, right? They've got Victor, they've got Xayah, two incredibly late game scaling champions that can just tear up a late game team fight if they're given the opportunity to do so. It's something that might not pan out for them. Loud, pretty decently strong in the early game with their composition and the
Mhm.
meta and the way that we're tending to, with how quickly the game can just snowball and end. It doesn't look too great, at least to begin with here for Fourier. At least it's going to be one of these things of sit back. If you can limit the scaling, or if you can limit the early game aggression from Loud, then you're going to be in a great spot. But if not, you are really going to struggle.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of window there, right? Whether it is the Lucian, Gragas finding picks and flanks as well, but I think you're right. I mean, well, Skarner is going to be all over the place. We saw some really good Skarner play in the LEC. Zenzara for Astralis was running riot on that. No, but I think you do open yourself up some really good windows there. But thankfully, like we've said, look, Furia, they have the tools in this composition to survive the early game, survive any sort of dives that Skarner might try to pull off, right? Any cheeky cat that might be thrown their way by Tay, right? So
Mm.
yeah, I think the first 15 minutes are going to be crucial.
And as well, sort of speaking to this meta-ish play style that's coming on through in terms of, well, early game is just dominant at the minute. GP, a champion sort of renowned at least for having a really good level 1, and then beyond that needs to get a couple of items before he's in a decent enough position. GP has a 25% win rate in CBLOL right now, so it is going to be one of those things where you're sort of looking at it and going, well, if your team doesn't particularly have any early game impact, that's sort of leading us down this path of, you're not really winning any games. And the sort of caveat to that here with that 25% win rate is that GP can help plays happen across the map, right? Cannon
Yep.
Barrage can be used bot lane, can be used mid lane, can be used to set up things with your jungler. So there's always that possibility that they can use that to their advantage. But overall, it's not looking necessarily like it's going to be the best pickup here for Tyron.
Yeah, just Tay has one on it, so he's going to be seeing the champ that he's the only one that has one on the other side of it. And Weiser had a game early in the year where he racked up 446 CS, went 8-3-13 on GP, and lost,
That is depression. That
which
is
is
very sad, isn't it?
really, really tough.
Imagine if that's your game and you absolutely popping heads and then you lose that game. Could come down to late game execution, but it still feels bad regardless. And coming into this game, 440 CS is going to be exactly what Tyron wants. If Furrier can get there, then their odds of winning definitely skyrocket.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. I am worried a little bit about, like you said, as far as starting fights. Right, it really does put a lot of onus onto the Rel. And she can, and her CC and her ability to jump on carries and lay down really good damage, kind of weaving in, or not damage rather, but lay down good CC, weaving in your abilities. It is really unparalleled, but but that's if they want to start fights. So I think it is going to be about objective setup, right, for Furia, because that disengage very heavy, the disengage comp, they have a little bit of pick potential, right? But whether it's the lasers, the barrels, throwing out a feather storm, right? As far as they want you to come at them, and that's great if you can get to objectives and set up well first.
Yeah, and that comes with either having that gold lead or just having the superior macro. And unfortunately, Furia have sort of illustrated that they're maybe not quite on that level yet. So that we will have to keep our eyes on whether or not they're able to sort of set that one up and keep themselves ready and going into these neutral objectives. Because you are quite right that yes, their team has some slightly decent engage with the Rel, very strong champion, but the majority of their team comp revolves around zone control and revolves around how easy it is to just kite back with a lot of things being laid down here. We are seeing a bit of a scrap here for the first scuttle down on the bot side. Dinkedo overextended here.
Yeah, he's trying to get the damage down, weave in his auto attacks, and he has no mana, and it's going to be Follow that picks up the kill with the flash and gets a trade right back. Does the boy able to pick up a 1-for-1 trade there? First blood does go over to Follow, but with the dragon coming up in a minute 15, not going to be too big of a deal.
So advantage in the mid lane goes over to Furrier. Advantage in the jungle going to go to Mukio for Loud here. You can see Annie goes back, hits the reset, hits a TP straight back into mid lane, and Dinkedo actually able to take his time and run back to the laning phase right here. So this is actually going to be pretty decent for Loud. Something that you always have to sort of factor in, at least in the early game here, is that Annie would have spent a lot of time actually channeling his recall, right? 8 seconds for a recall. He had to move into a position that was safe to recall as well. Whereas Lucian dies off the bat. He's going to be respawning pretty quickly here. Only level 4, only 3.5 minutes into the game. Comes up pretty quickly here. And Seos might be looking for a little something here.
He's looking for a little something and damage. Got the attracted and repel there and flashed over and trying to get onto Does the Boy because he got that gold, but he didn't reset and actually spend it. So that gold, that is just dead weight as far as kills sitting in his pocket right now. But Seo's going to get stunned on beating one. Will do it. Picks up a kill, and that is going to feel really, really bad. I mean, at least it was a Does the Boy. If he would have given up double buffs after that kill, that would have been tragic. Could have been worse, but could have been better.
And really well played from Furia. Talks about this bot lane matchup being winning for them, and they show exactly that. The Xayah into Kai'Sa looking pretty strong, and we're actually going to get a replay here of that mid lane fight. And Dinkedo opens up here onto Eni using the Lucian combo about as well as he could have done, but unfortunately gets flashed on. It's a really good response from Yukio, but unfortunately Dinkedo is just 2CC'd. The bot lane can't come in time, and of course Kai'Sa with the Hail of Blades doesn't slouch when trying to do the damage, and has in fact gone for the for the Hail of Blades on that Kai'Sa. So looking pretty strong with that one. Gets a quick kill, quick double buffs, and able to at least survive the bot lane 2v2. So as you mentioned, isn't the worst thing in the world. And without the mana on Beanie, the dive there would have been pretty difficult for Fury. I would have liked to see them go for it if they had that resource, but they just didn't. So playing wisely to it, they are now looking to maybe set up around this dragon. We are, of course, about that 6-minute marker. So could be coming through here, and we could be starting to set ourselves up for some Drakes to be taken. Level 6 is not yet hit for our top laners, not yet hit, at least for the junglers either. So things like the Impale aren't going to be too useful damage, though. He's going to go in.
Crashing down, attract and repel right onto Seos. Mukio is safe, and so Does the Boy, at least for a second. Level 6 was hit, like you said. Tyron dropping the cannon barrage, and here comes the TP from Dinkedo. And he had to drop that TP, so you mentioned mid lane and TP advantage going to the side of Loud. Able to respond and just kind of take the pressure off a little bit. Beanie is too low to help out with this dragon, but Follow is going to start it anyway.
And a really good start to this game from Furia right now. We weren't expecting this by any metric, but they're just looking so good. And now Duds the Boy in a little bit of trouble as well. Doesn't look like Damage is too worried about trying to do too much more onto Duds the Boy. But this composition that they drafted for themselves, excelling in the late game, the fact that they're so strong in this early game, bodes well for Furia. This is a good turn up and a good surprise for us that they're looking strong and that they could maybe continue this with the first dragon going in their pockets as well. They're definitely in a good spot.
Yeah, so far so good. And then up in CS in the mid lane a little bit, but jungle 3 camps ahead. Muko going to try to respond here by taking a scuttle crab, but Tyron also about 20 CS up roughly. So far so good. Yeah, that early kill to Does the Boy. All of a sudden, it's like, where did it go? Because Beanie
Mm.
is 2-0, and no more dead gold in his pocket as well. He's got the noon quiver picked up. 3 different kinds of butter knives. He's got like a steak knife, a kitchen knife, and a butter knife in there. Whereas, I guess the serrated dirk, I guess that's maybe more of a steak knife in this metaphor, actually.
Yeah, maybe, but either way, both of these guys have got themselves a full arsenal of chef's knives at their disposal at this
Mm.
point, and are looking to maybe pump out some damage with them. Obviously, going to be fairly difficult for the time being. These ADCs wanting to scale up quite a little bit. No Q evolve on the Kai'Sa yet, and Zaya still not yet even picked up the Gale Force, be it the Gale Force or the Essence Reaver, whatever we end up seeing come through first. So going to be waiting for those to come on through before these ADCs start dealing meaningful damage, and it might end up happening in and around this Rift Herald here. Everybody except the ADCs at this fight. GP pushing in on the top side, so the longer this little stalemate goes on, the more this is favouring Furia because Tay is missing minion after minion under the turret. You can see Tyrant already ahead on XP. You can see Annie has push in the mid lane now, that upgraded Death Ray. Going to be pushing those minions in very easily. And that comes from not only the quick CS lead that he's been able to amount, but also the little assist that he got as well. Now Seos looking for some engages, but not going to be able to find it. Trying to engage on anybody that is nearby a rel, incredibly difficult. But now here comes Duds the Boy. This is a lot of expenditure for Loud, and Q standard color caster comment. What are they losing for this? Down on the
Mm-hmm.
bot side, you've got Beanie wailing away at some turrets, getting himself some plates up in that business as well. So yes, Loud get themselves the Rift Herald, but they lose a lot of CS onto their ADC. They lose a lot of plating down on the bot side as well. And if they aren't able to find something really decent with that Herald, it's not going to be worth the play in the first place.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. We talked about some questionable Herald play in the CBLOL last week, but yeah, I mean, just a ton of solo XP and gold going right into the pocket of Beanie, as if he needed it. I mean, you talk about the first 15 minutes for Loud and how the scaling's definitely on Furious side. This is not the way they wanted to start it. They're up 3K gold and no towers taken for Furia.
It's not exactly where the Loud squad are going to want to be right here, because just talking compositionally here, and I guess we can touch more on why it favors Furia quite so much, is that Loud are this full disengage or full engage composition, right? They want to be diving in and dishing out as much damage as they can, right? They have a little bit of flexibility with Tay and the fact that he can go for some disengage tools. But the way that Loud are going to be trying to engage is by Skarner running at you and by Alistair running at you, right? Unless they've got Flash, they have no innate mobility to get particularly on top of you. And yes, the headbutt pulverize sort of a caveat to that, but either way, they have so much zone control on Furia that running into in the first place and even getting into headbutt pulverize range is going to be difficult for Seos. They have gravity well, they've got the Chaos Storm, they've got feathers that are going to be pumped out, and they've got barrels to try and run through. If that wasn't bad enough for zone control, they have 2 big front lines that are going to be trying to stop them at every given opportunity. They've got follow and they've got damage to try and run through to make this team fight just so easy for Furia. And honestly, like I say, the later this game goes and the more they get set up around these crucial pivotal objectives, the harder and harder it will be for Loud to find any form of successful engage.
And Tyron setting up some zone control here that just gets absolutely dove on. Can Barrage is going to come down, but it might be too little too late here. Actually having to take himself out of the fight is Tay. Gets in orange to buy himself even more time, and that just took far too long, but Tay is able to pick up the kill. It is Glass Cannon Gragas up there. It is not Tank Gragas.
Yeah, going to be a couple of amp tomes started off with, and the tier as well, suggesting that Seraphs will come through at some point. Quick kill picked up from the bot side and now mid lane as well.
There goes the Skarner ult and flat because Annie, excuse me, has to flash out of it, and now the culling coming through. Annie gonna be able to sidestep it, but dashing over the walls, did Kato. The death ray's gonna miss. One more E comes off cooldown, and that might be enough to take down Annie. One more dash, but able to kite really, really well with the death ray, and Annie is going to get a cast to the face.
Fortunate timing on the reset for Tay, able to roam into the jungle, fires off a quick cannon or a quick barrel rather, and picks up that quill fairly easily. Not too much to write home about right there, and a really good little attempt from Annie to deny that engage, but doesn't quite manage to make it happen. Does get taken down in the end, and one of those where if that second death ray had have hit, might have been able to find a trade kill onto Dinkedo, but didn't come through, didn't happen the way that he'd have hoped it to. Either way, though, down on this bot side of the map, it is looking pretty rough for Loud. This winning bot side for Furia has only excelled and only exemplified their lead, given not only the Herald that is not going to be used on the bot lane just yet, and also all of the gold that Beanie was able to funnel. He's actually going to get solo plate gold and first turret gold. This is 2 kills worth of gold being funneled straight into the AD carry.
Yep, they found their win condition, Rudude. It is through the bot lane, and that is a little bit kind of thematically what we expected to see. And he's making good on that so far. Now let's see once these big team fights do kind of break out, if there is more to be said for that. Picking up the boots, he's got the Gale Force. He is the strongest member on the map right now. And here goes that Herald. 3v2 here, going to get 2 plates worth right onto Mukio and Dinkedo. Not fantastic, but I don't know. Could it have been worse?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, you're going to use the Herald somewhere, and when you're down so far in the gold department so early on, it's better to just use it and get the plating gold back than it is to sit on it and wait for the most optimal opportunity to take it for yourself. Like right here, they could have probably forced down the entire turret with the Herald, and they might be able to do that anyway. But Follow, nearby at least, trying to make this fight happen. Mukio just lurking off in the shadows, you can see, nicely shadowed here by Follow, keeping his AD carry safe. And with all the strength that is in this Xayah, with just Udyr nearby, they should be able to handily hold off this siege and handily pick up those minions, deny that turret from falling. Beanie needing to pick up these last hits under the turret here, but overall, nothing too shabby. And you can see that this bot lane tier 1 actually falling does open up Loud to get something going on in the mid lane. Dinkedo, though, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, Follow trying to get something going here. Gets absolutely dove on. Dinkedo goes bye-bye. Damage now in a little bit of trouble as well. He's on foot. He's not on his horse. He's gonna have a tough time getting away. He's able to get one shattering strike in. Mukio taken low. Iron taking the scenic route up from the bottom lane. Didn't even TP, just flashed straight up and double kill over to Tay. Glass cannon Gragas. He's kiting so well. Again, this has happened a couple of times now. Tay able to pick up 2 more kills, 4-0. And now Furia maybe trying to respond just a little bit to this tower, but Tay's just too strong.
Yeah, and right there you see not the issue necessarily with Furia, but well, in this game it definitely was the issue, I suppose, where they have all this gold funneled onto their ADC, yet they're taking a fight without her. Xayah not part of that fight particularly, and the second Tyrant flashes in, he gets CC'd by 4 different members, booped around like he's in a little bounce house right there, and unable to pick up any kills really. And we talked about the fact that GP doesn't need to flash in, and Tyron right there experiences exactly why he shouldn't be in this game. He's got so much close range CC that he's just going to have to either be aware of and try and dodge out from, or just get hit by it. And right there, it was the latter, unfortunately. Now Damage might find himself in a similar fate. It's going to be 3v3 on this top side here.
Mukio is on a mission. He's got the Impale up in just a bit here. Going to be in. Now it's up. Going to wait it out. And I think that was the right call. Couldn't get anything too clean on it, but able to create some top lane prio. Got some prio in the mid lane as well to try to take this second Herald. Always a tricky proposition, but I think this early on, this low risk, that's A-okay.
And obviously Tyron rather is down on that bot side. Tay has sat himself firmly in the mid lane to rotate over if they look for a fight from Furia. But what I was trying to sort of hint to there is that bot tier 1 turret falling has actually done Loud a fair bit of good right here. The fact that they've had a bit of a longer lane that they can leave minions to funnel into means that Tyrion is feeling a little bit more compelled to stay around, pushing an extra wave and really crash it underneath a tier 2 turret as opposed to a tier 1. And Loud are just using that time to do other things on the map, and such as take mid tier 1, such as take the Herald. They've been doing a lot of good stuff on this top side of the map, and slightly neglecting Tay in terms of the CS that he's been picking up. Is down 30, but down 30 CS doesn't really matter when you're up 4 kills.
Amen, brother. Yeah, it really does not. He's got the TP here to join this fight, and he goes with the Magnet Storm Cannon Barrage coming down. Damage gets absolutely popped. Cullen goes out as well. Seos with the headbutt, trying to avoid the Chaos Storm. They're able to get around it. Here comes Tay flashing in. Featherstorm out. When the root lands, Cass going to interrupt it. The heal comes in to keep Beanie alive, and that's just enough. It's just what they needed. But Tay, absolutely monstrous on this Gragas before finally getting shut down. And where's Tyron? He's farming away in a side lane.
Yeah, once again here, it's a fight without your GP, and yes, he's firing down Cannon Barrage, and overall, that fight very, very beneficial for Furia. They get the big shutdown on Gragas, they get themselves solo, turret, XP, gold, waves, all of that good stuff going in for the GP up on the top side of the map. And it's a 2 for 2. Overall, Furia, they come out on top of that fight, and now Tyron, he's got the turret, he's got himself all of that gold from that, he's going to TP down into the Drake. Make sure that Loud don't pick this one up quietly in the night, and they are going to have to try and challenge Furia once again to try and take this one. Looks like, though, with 3 members having to take a reset, Furia should be able to put themselves onto this coveted soul point.
That's exactly what they're going to do. Good contest there. Good immediate response. Response to the response. They knew, Furia, or rather Loud, starting that up. They knew, all right, Tyron's up in a side lane. Maybe we can try to sneak this, but no, let's get another replay here of this fight in the mid lane.
Going to be one of these, it looks like damage just gets popped right here, and to be honest, he does. Pops after Chalk way too late there, and it's the good response, the good turn back around, and Annie actually able to just take down Mukio with this Liandry's, and that flash from Annie, you have to recognize is just absolutely pivotal. He doesn't have to burn his flash to get out, quite like Beanie did right there. It's the small things that matter, and that flash right there, predicting the E-flash from Gragas, really, really good.
And you see the damage there, right? Taking a fight without your Kaisa, or without your Xayah, rather, you don't get 3,600 of the damage. And that was absolutely huge. So you see, yeah, that fight really, really good for Furia. And they are on that soul point, like you were mentioning. I think that'll really, that should help things out here because they've got a couple of squishy carries. So a little extra armor and MR will be good. Udyr will be much tougher to take down. Damage will certainly benefit from it as well.
And compare the damage stats right there from Beanie over to Duds the Boy. Duds the Boy did about 500, so Beanie rather doing 7 times the damage in a team fight that the Kaiser is doing as a Xayah pre 20 minutes. That is something that Beanie is going to be very, very happy by, and definitely going to be looking to continue on. Looks like the rest of Furia with Beanie at the helm. Going to try and charge forward. Going to try and take this mid-tier 1 turret here and go for a dive.
It goes damage, and all that damage coming in from the Cannon Barrage and the Death Ray as well. Get in, pick up a kill, and get out of dodge.
Oh, yeah, and right, here goes the re-engage.
Yukio gets the re-engage onto Beanie, but able to cleanse Impale with the Featherstorm, but a nice, well-timed cast. Tay is trying to drag his team into a comeback here, but it might not be enough.
That was really strong. That was really well thought out here by Furia. Definitely I like the dive. We talked about the fact that they're good disengage composition, yet they have Rel. They have the ability to pull the trigger, and that's what they want when they're ahead, right? If you're ahead, you don't want to be just sitting back resting on your laurels. You want to be pushing your advantage, and that is exactly what they do here. And, we can shout out Tay all we like here, because don't get me wrong, that Gragas play, very good, and it has been throughout this game, but he's focusing onto Beanie, which is by no means not the target that you should be going for, right? Like, Beanie is incredibly strong. You should be trying to focus him down. The issue that Loud have is they've also got this massive Victor who's quietly just gone 3-1-4, the exact same score as this Xayah. Didn't get the same resources funneled as the, turret platings and all that stuff, but is still incredibly strong. Has that Liandry's and has even spent 1,300 gold on a QSS to keep himself even safer up against this Skarner. So a lot of things coming in and really favouring Furia. The fact that Ernie has got himself so much potential to carry in this game as well as Beanie, really showing off.
Yep, they've got a couple of these carry options, and like I said, I like you pointed out that QSS, because between Tay and Mukio, they've got ways to get to you. Seos can close a gap really quickly. Dinketo, can chunk you down as well. Whether it's the Cask, whether it's the Impale.
Oh.
Ooh, a Cask gonna get damage right into that wall, and there's all that follow up, and Beanie goes down. Damage will be next. 2 kills for Mukio. Really good pick, decisive playmaking there from Loud. But now they might get collapsed on here. Follow, gonna jump right in onto Seos, but he is so beefy. That is one thick cow, and down goes Follow. Loud with a great response.
Yeah, Kraken Slayer built up on the Lucian. He's going to be chewing through this Udyr right there and does exactly that. No bear to try and contest your Baron right here. You do still have any. You do still have Tyrion. 2 big AoE champions that can pump out damage, but they're just helping with the Baron.
Let's see. Good secure there by Mukio. Everyone gets a level. Everyone gets a Baron buff as well. And Seos just sitting there in the Krugs camp going, okay, they did it. Good job, guys. I'll see you back in the base.
I can help you guys if you need it, but it looks like they're pretty good. And just like that, a single pick or a single double pick coming on through. And right now, it's just right back to where Loud. They make one play, and all of a sudden, they're in the driver's seat once more. They have the Baron at their backs, and it just feels like it's just the same old Furrier right there. Unfortunately, they overextend one little bit too far. And the downfall of Xayah is that her ultimate has a fairly long, deceptively long cooldown, in fact. You can take a fight, and most champions, most ADCs, you reset, go back out onto the map, and your ulti's basically back up. Xayah doesn't have that luxury. You need to wait a considerable amount of time before that Featherstorm is back up and available, and wasn't open to them right there. Seos able to find the engage and able to take down the Xayah. The gold gap is still fairly even. There's still a chance for these fights to be close, and with the Mountain Soul on the board, we're going to see another one here just in a little bit.
I do like how heavy Rel feels when she goes in with the crash down, right? When just mounting up like that, especially if it's over a wall, it just grabs your attention. The plates come in. Speaking of coming in, there goes Sam's on a really good instant Featherstorm to avoid any trouble from Beanie. Gets a big shutdown kill onto Mukio. That Impale not going to be available much longer. There goes the Cannon Barrage as well, and Annie picking up a kill. That's that disengage comp, dude.
And this is exactly what Furrier wanted. It was really heads-up play from both Beanie and Annie. Once again, Annie's flash, perfect. Does exactly what it needs to, gets him out of harm's way. Featherstorm does the same thing, keeps himself safe, and the nice utilization of Gale Force as well to reposition after the fact. Able to keep the Xayah safe, and these 2 constant DPS sources, they turn back around, they pump out the damage, and they give the Mountain Soul over to Furrier. So the temporary buff goes over to Loud after a slight misstep. But off the back of a good team fight and a beautiful execution on their own composition, Furrier are looking really strong now with that permanent Mountain Soul buff.
And that gold graph tells the entire story, doesn't it? This just 30 seconds ago, we were saying, man, Loud really punishing an overextension from Furia, which was the case. And then one good fight later, they're right back in the driver's seat. Well, maybe not right back in the driver's seat. They might be in the driver's seat, but I don't think their legs are quite, Flash to get away from the cast there. Tyron getting away from Tate. I don't think their legs are quite long enough to reach down to the pedals just yet.
Not quite yet. They're looking like they're sort of needed. They get one booster seat and they're going to be a-okay to sort of start vibing and really start taking this game to Loud right here. And as well as that, I think that the compositional differences in terms of what they're going to do is really going to start speaking to the successes of Furrier right here. That you saw it in that team fight. Mukio just got absolutely eviscerated, right? He's gone for this phase rush, but if he never gets in range to use his abilities, he never gets that phase rush proc. And no aftershock on the Skarner, you are fairly easy to take down, especially up against a Xayah and a GP here, with this Force of Nature being picked up as your second item here for the Skarner. Yes, you're tanky to the Victor. If you get hit on by these GP barrels, if you get hit by the Xayah feathers, you're going to get taken out pretty darn quickly.
Well, he finds a little bear there. Attracted repel from damage. Able to pop the second one, stun Seos, and get Follow out of trouble.
That's 2 flashes that they've had to burn for overextensions. Tyrion had to use his on the top side of the map. Follow's now had to use his for seemingly nothing. There was nothing particularly to fight for in and around the Drake pit. We've got 2 minutes on the Baron, 3.5 on the Elder Drake spawning, so nothing really doing for him to be there, and that flash timer could harm them. You know, there's no way for him to flash into a pit and steal a Baron or whatever it may be. No flash bear slaps available. The Udyr engage has now been reduced a little bit. but it doesn't look like it matters, right? They've still got Mountain Soul, they've still got a very strong gold lead. And with Dinkedo farming down on the bot side here, doing his best Tyrant impression, he's going to be not able to help defend against this Siege. And also, sieging against GP, not very easy. His barrel's one-shotting waves left, right, and center, and with no Baron, of course, it just makes his job even easier.
And I think it does bode well for Furia that, you know, the only thing they've kind of gotten really hurt by has been overextensions, has been small mistakes on their part. I guess you could take that one of two ways. One is, okay, well, if they keep making those mistakes, then Loud have the comp to punish it, and the talent to punish it. But you could take the other way is to say, okay, well, whenever Loud try to start a fight, we have responded perfectly every time. We have controlled objectives almost perfectly every time, right? 4-0 on the Mountain Soul. So I think, again, we've identified the win condition for Furia, and for the most part, they've played a pretty clean game. Loud still just, you know, they have ways of starting fights and disrupting, and they've executed on those fine. But Furia, they came in here as the underdogs, make no mistake about it, but they've played a really, really good game so far, all things considered.
And also, they have to start setting up their composition, or setting up the Baron and the Dragon, because Baron, of course, spawning in about 30 seconds here. It's completely Loud controlled right now. That's not how their composition wants to thrive. We've seen it time and time again already in this game, where if that's a big engage tool taken down. Does just getting away with that one, but if Loud are able to set up for the Drake fight, then it's really difficult for Furia to get their way in the first place. Because, like we say, well, without all of these engage tools now, it becomes even more difficult. But if they're the ones set up, if they're the ones ready, the engage for Loud is just so hard. They've got all of this zone control that we talked about previously, and especially trying to funnel into the Baron pit here, it's going to be really difficult. There's two very tight choke points that Furia can start funneling into and start making it difficult for Loud to break through. As soon as they get into the river, they get a little bit more flexibility just in terms of terrain. But either way, it's still going to be hard. And if Furia can be in the position and be around that Baron, then they're going to be the ones that are A-okay. But looking at it, it looks like they're setting up a bit of a 1-3-1 style of approach. And honestly, with Baron on the table, I'm not sure that that's what you need. I think if you just set up and force Loud into you, you can take a fight and stop them from getting anywhere near this objective.
Yeah, it's that setup like we're talking about in Loud. They can't really pull the trigger entirely right now. It feels like this game is, you know, we've like lit the fuse, and with both top laners, with the TPs at the ready, Tyron still has, he got 2 levels, 100 CS and you know, despite being down 6 kills, Tyron might get dove on here.
Dead.
Does the boy, down comes so much damage from the cannon barrage. My goodness, Duds had to step out of that, and Tay was able to just face tank it. And now with 2 members spent responding down bot, I don't think the TP is going to be burned by Tay. Yes, it is going into the bush here. Mukio looking for a steal here. Damage, playing defense. Got the ward. They don't have the ward on the other side. They don't know that Mewtwo's over there, but they're just going to send damage over, and they are able to secure it, follow with a good smite. But now the fight breaking out here. More TPs coming in. Mewtwo able to grab Beatty, and that is big. He picked him out of a hat, Rudude. And he trying to run away here. He's got the attractive repel, but Damage is going to have to let his ADC die. Great collapse by Loud. What a pick by Mewtwo.
Really well played. He doesn't need to go around the back of the pit to find the Baron if they can find the fight afterwards. They're able to take Xayah straight off the board right there. Uses Flash and ulti to keep himself safe from the Gragas, I believe, and then the Skarner picks up the pieces. The power of the flank comes through in a massive, massive way, and Furia pay for it with a top lane inhibitor right here. They've still got Baron on their Udyr and their Rel. Decidedly the 2 worst members for them to have it on, but they've got themselves a push.
I was gonna say this is pretty tough, and now Loud, and they again, this probably wasn't intentional, but the timers were separated by like 2 minutes, but they waited so long to start that Baron that they could just rotate immediately to Elder, and that's exactly what they're doing. Furia, they still got a shot here, a snowball's chance in hell, but it's a chance nonetheless to try to steal this. Here goes Damage, not able to grab it. Mukio with a couple of really clutch plays, and now Damage is just gonna get absolutely popped between Dinkedo and Duds the Boy. There's nothing that can't be chewed through. Able to get the pick on Tay here. It's a 2-for-1, but Elder picked up by Duds the Boy, Dinkedo, and Mukio.
We're now at this really awkward position in the game where Loud have got Elder, Furia have got Baron. and neither one of them are going to want to maybe try and take a fight because either team has this sort of temporary buff going on.
Yep.
Almost in almost every situation, Elder outweighs the value of Baron, and that's why Elder's timer is a little bit shorter. But just the way that these objectives have been taken means that they're probably going to elapse at about the same time. And Follow might be in a little bit of trouble here. Dinkedo not going to pursue that one, unfortunately for him, and fortunately enough for Follow, he's able to run away with all of that movement speed. But at this point, we're going to have timers that are fairly close to one another in terms of when they elapse and when they stop being available to the squads. And it's a good pickup for Loud to get themselves the Elder Drake. It probably denies it more so than it does secure it for themselves. And Furrier not having that one and not having Baron at their backs as well, going to be two pivotal objectives that you don't get together. Of course, the two things in tandem typically can spell the end of a game. But I wouldn't be surprised to see us get another Baron and another Soul or another Drake attempt.
Yeah, you said it best. I mean, it is a little bit of an awkward spot because, yeah, no one's trying to fight right now, especially now with the Elder buff onto Mukio Dinkedo and Does the Boy. Actually, I probably should know this, but Tay, it is like Baron, right? Where Tay was dead for the Elder secure, so he doesn't get it.
Yes, he got taken down during the fight, I believe, actually. But it was really interesting to see that Furrier were able to win that fight up against Elder as well. Actually, maybe just the slight, not necessarily mispositioning, but confusion around should we secure the Drake, should we take the fight, whatever it may be. Meaning that Furrier were able to take a fight up against Elder and it didn't go too wrong for them. They actually got a 1-for-2 trade beneficial to them. So, again, not the worst situation for them, but. Be that as it may, it is Loud rather with a slight advantage right now. They've still got a couple of seconds here on this Elder Dragon where the Baron has completely ran out and damage. It was very close right there. Mukio goes for an engage and he's just gonna. Well, he's not gonna die actually. He's got a QSS and GP has an orange, so everybody on Furrier looking fairly safe right now. But now with this, they're looking for the engage and here goes damage.
There goes damage. Able to get this damage there onto Mukio. Follow just right into the back line, and he might get munched through, and indeed he will. Dinkedo on a killing spree. Says Cole this. Featherstorm this. Beanie picking up the kill onto Seos, and Tyrant able to get one back onto Mukio. Damage heading for the hills. He's not that big. He's getting that. They got that little shield from Mountain Soul, but the top lane in him, it's just damage getting sent back to deal with the minions. And so instead, with no objectives to take, doing a little counter jungling, Beanie in a little bit of trouble here. The Void Staff coming in for Tay. That was built a little while ago, and I do like that into the Mountain Soul, into Follow, who has built up a ton of resistances, right? Damage just going to get beefier and beefier. So I do like the Void Staff pickup as opposed to the Death. Jeez, can you tell I watched LS's stream last night? My goodness.
There's a lot of benefits coming out of this Void Staff. You are quite right here, and it's really good optimization from Tay, for sure. And as well as that, everybody else trying to pick up the pieces of this fight for Loud because they know that from here on in, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. And the good thing that they're going to have is, hey, if Furrier engage on you, then you find it much easier to take these fights, and you are going to be finding it easier to get access into the backline. But it doesn't remove the zone control that Furrier have, right? You saw that Tyrion and Annie were just pumping out damage left, right, and center. Beanie feeling a little bit more lackluster in that instance just because he's going forward on Xayah. It's just a part and parcel of the champion. Going back, it's so much better. Going forward, a little bit more difficult. And they might have to find this one out again for themselves.
Well, it's a 4v4 here. Here comes the TP Follow. Stuck in the mud a little bit. Out goes the Victor W. Annie pumping out the damage. Damage in with the Chaos Storm. The TP showing up. Tyrant just a little bit too late here. Can he lay down enough barrels? Will it be enough? Right into the back line. Does the boy. And Tyrant in a 1v1 has to flash away, respecting the damage from the barrel. Somehow, Loud don't lose anybody. Beanie going backwards on Xayah. This is it, Rude, dude. This is where you show your chops. They don't want the engage because they know that that's where the champion thrives. Instead, they're going to move it up to the top side of the map. Make sure they got a little vision here before maybe a reset. No, they're just going for it, and they do have the damage to chew through it, but Beanie is very healthy. Follow could go in and make some noise. Baron at about 3,000 health. Seos trying to be literally the sacrificial cow here, and Dinkedo just going to pop down Follow. They're not going to be able to contest this. Another Baron taken, but this one by the side of Loud, and this could get messy, Rudude.
Yeah, they're going to lose the top lane inhibitor once again here. They only have one Nexus turret here for and it's again the same situation they found themselves in about 5 minutes ago. They force an engage that they really don't need to be forcing, and it's just not what their composition does here. I mean, we can only say the same thing so many times, that Furia are better at going backwards. They're better at having a team engage upon them, and it comes down to them needing to be setting up at objectives as opposed to being the ones that are trying to force the fights right here. They pop Cannon Barrage and they start running at people with Udyr, and they got a lot of summoner spells for it. They get a good amount of cooldowns off of that. The sort of non-committal engage that we've been talking about quite frequently. But now they're down a Baron, Elder gets to spawn, and Loud should be able to pick this one up for themselves. Follow still in base, and just gets absolutely melted. This Elder is absolutely donezo. Loud, they've got everything now.
Wow. I'm not sure if I've seen an Elder go down that quickly, like ever. That was insane.
That was incredibly fast. They have Kraken Slayer, double IE on their AD carries as well. Yes, Kai says the Gale Force, but she's got Collector Rune Hands, right? These ADCs are so strong right now. The power of double AD comps come out in this late game, and if Lucian can position well, then he is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it's sort of a question of being a short-range ADC, but not having the sort of limitations or the capabilities, I suppose, of something like the Vayne, like the Xayah, who had that innate sort of safety, be it from stealth, be it from this massive immunity that you can put down. Lucian tends to fall into a bit of a more difficult champion to play in these late game stages, but Dinkedo has proved himself time and time again to be a staple force here for Loud, and you can see with Baron, with Elder, Furia's defenses really not holding up right here. GP sort of discarded to the top side to deal with super minions, but here goes Mukio.
Yeah, he didn't want to blow it, or he did blow it on damage, I guess, and that
QSS.
Chaos going out from Annie, so that's a big ult, not going to be available. I mean, this just feels like a ticking time bomb here. Rude and Loud looking like they're going to take the game unless Furia have an absolute miracle, and I mean miracle in them, because the one Nexus tower is down, 3 inhibs are down, Baron buff, Elder buff, Loud are looking like Exodia here, like the Power Ranger Megazord or whatever. Or is Megazord he's the villain? I don't know my Power Rangers lore, but look at these Baron up cannon minions outranging the tower. That's everyone's favorite bit of trivia about. I mean, they might have to pick a fight here, but Beanie able to get the lockdown here, and they get Mukio sails into the back line, getting the knock up there onto Beanie. The follow up not quite there just yet because of Featherstorm in, but Killer Instinct able to take down his fellow AD carry. Does the boy picking up not 1 but 2, and he responding with a kill of his own. But that will be all she wrote. Nice W there. Take just a stopwatch, just cuz. And a double stopwatch there. They're playing chicken, but that will be enough. The Elder Drake and the Baron buff and 3 inhibitors finally give Loud a hard-fought win over Furia.